Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest and exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Motorhead Garage is presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
This is Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, and this is one of my favorite vehicles. It's a 1956 Chevrolet. And folks that have classic cars like this love to keep them looking original. That's just what the owner has done here. The secret is he's got new suspension in the front and the rear, and he's got 500 horses under the hood. But interior-wise, he wants it to look authentic. This is the original dash. And a lot of folks, when they get a classic vehicle, remember why radio used to stink back in the 1950s. It was an AM radio, the sound wasn't very good, and they want the creature comforts when they redo their car, and they want to cruise around in it all day long. And that is where Custom Auto Sound comes in. Custom Auto Sound's not just some fly-by-night company. They've been around since 1977, bringing you custom sound and classic style. And if you look on their website, you put in your make and model, and you will find just about any vehicle under the sun. And of course, there are some universal applications as well. Everything will look period correct, and they're going to look great in your vehicle. In installation, super simple. Custom Auto Sound has 400 different applications for the radios. Here you can see 1956 Chevy. It's going to fit just perfectly in the dash, but it's going to look great too because this faceplate is going to match the original dash to a T. But first things first, let's talk about actually putting this thing in here. Now, the great thing about Custom Auto Sound is the color coding. You see here the white wire goes to the white wire, green to green, and so forth. You just use the pinch connectors that they've included in the kit and connect the wiring harness to the old wires that are already in the dash. Same thing here on the other harness coming from the battery, connecting the same colored wires to the harness, and that is going to snap in the back of the radio unit. And by the way, getting to the radio, not that hard in this. To take out the old one, just remove the glove compartment. We took out 3 screws, and that enables us to get to the back. And you look on the back, everything is color-coded here. This is for a subwoofer. The owners decided not to use that in this case. We also have one for your Bluetooth connection, and anything if you want to run your iPod or your MP3 player off of it, you can do that as well. And we have an antenna connection in the back, and they're all clearly labeled, just like everything else is color-coded. Those 2 wiring harnesses are going to snap into the back of the unit here, one into the top, like that, and one into the bottom. And they only fit in one spot. You can't mix those up. I already tried it, trust me. And we have 2 ground wires here. They connect on the post here on the back. Simple clips that go onto the post. And I do those finger tight, and those should stay on. All right, we got the ground wires run down there. Before we place it here, we're going to put in this, I guess you'd call it a bezel over the front. Even got a rubber seal there to fit nice and tight and make sure we don't get any vibration. Run that up through. Man, look at that. That thing looks like the original dash, and it fits it just perfectly. Every vehicle is different, of course, so Custom Auto Sound gives you a bunch of washers you can use to make sure it fits your car perfectly. I'll go with the right side here first, and a couple of washers. Push it up a little bit farther to get it to bite on the nut. Now it's on there pretty well, but I'm going to get a deep well socket and just turn it on finger tight to make sure everything is seated correctly. Do that on both sides and run it down. And the next thing is the knobs, and Custom Auto Sound goes the extra mile with those 2. Everything looks period correct. Of course, this bezel just, really matches this 56 perfectly. And you'll find that with all the makes and models, all 400 different applications they have at customautosound.com. And we'll place the bottom part on the knob here, and it slides right on. Of course, it's the 50s. You need lots of chrome, and this thing looks perfect. It's going to sound great. You'll be able to listen to all your music from the 50s up to the current day as you cruise along in your daily driver. Man, this thing's going to look great. It's going to sound great. Thanks to customautosound.com. Go to their website, see what they can do for your vehicle. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, so do not go anywhere.
Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. BrothersTrucks.com, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration. Design Engineering, keeping heat and noise out of your car since 1995. NH Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system. And by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever.
Here at Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, we hear from a lot of you viewers at home who want to know where to get a product, or they want to see the piece again. And that is just the case with this one, which we shot last year in our old studio. If you're a frequent viewer of the show, you've no doubt seen this vehicle. It's the Dauber Cruiser. Yes, it is a family vehicle. I use it every day, and I have 2 little kids, and I never have any time to maintain the appearance of this vehicle, as you can see. So I guarantee you we are faking nothing here. But to clean it up, I can get professional results, and there's an easy way to do it. And Dan, the Tornador is my key to success in cleaning up this vehicle. Tell me what it is and how it works.
Yeah, so Tornador is a professional line of detailing tools. It's a pneumatic air tool that works on all sorts of things: cars, SUVs, trucks, RVs, motorcycles, boats, pretty much anything with an interior and an exterior it'll work on.
And what kind of interior surfaces are we talking?
So fabric, carpet, headliners, seat belts, plastic, vinyl, even leather you can use it on with the right cleaner. And how it works is it's a patented technology this is the Classic. This was introduced in the early 2000s, almost 20 years. And how it works is it's a patented tornado vortex action in here. So this, when you hook it up and you push the trigger, it will shoot out a chemical through here and it'll start creating that tornado action. And it's going to put the chemical in and it's going to draw all that dirt and debris out of the fabric or the seat or the carpet or whatever you're working on. So all the dirt ends up going back into the cone, leaving you with a clean, dry surface within 10-15 minutes.
You sell the Classic and that works great, but there's a new and improved model. How is it different?
Yeah, so this is the Z020 Tornador Black. As you can see, this has the plastic weighted tube, as I mentioned before. This has a stainless steel ball bearing rotate set. So this is going to give you a little bit more power, and it's also going to give you more working hours. So if you needed to use this every day, you know, multiple cars a day, this would be the one to go with, because you'll run this way farther out with no repairs, no needing to get a new one or anything like that. So for the professional, everyday, multiple use, heavy duty use, that's going to be where this one comes into play.
How many professionals are using this, and what's their alternative to the Tornador?
It seems like almost everybody, you know, every dealership I visit, every detail shop typically has a Tornador in it. And, you know, the advantage to it is really the labor savings and the time savings and the efficiency. So instead of going in every nook and cranny with a brush and an extractor or a vacuum, you can get into it with this and really clean out those areas way quicker than you could by hand.
What do you find with folks that are picking up the Tornador compared to their old extractor?
Yeah, so the extractor still has a place in the industry. I'm not saying it doesn't. You know, I like to use it on carpet. On seats, it seems to oversaturate a little bit more, and you're trying to dry out that vehicle for hours before it's dry.
So how long does the Tornador take to dry?
So once you're done with this and you do it, you know, you put the chemical in, and you can also turn this to air and just shoot air in there so that it dries as well. So after you do that, within 10-15 minutes, your seats, your carpets, headliner, seat belts, those are all going to be dry.
All right, let's see how it works. You've already done the mixing here,
yep,
and the one we have in here. How does that part work?
Yeah, so you just take your 2-ounce bottle of the TC enzyme, put it into your jar, fill the rest up with water, and you're good to go.
No measuring, just dump it in.
Nope, exactly.
Perfect. All right, let's see how the Tornador works here. We're going to hook it up to the air. We've got air here. You can hook it up to your compressor at home. And what was the PSI on this that you need?
Anywhere between 78 and 90 is the sweet spot.
Okay, great.
All right, and then I'm going to turn this on to liquid, make sure that I have enough coming out, and then I will come in here and work on these 2 stains that are in here.
Sure hope this works. Oh my God. That is unbelievable.
So just with a couple passes there, I'm going to turn this now back to air, and I can dry this. And you can feel this too, it's really not that wet. And then, you know, even with, now I'll just take the air and dry it out even more.
Oh my God. That couldn't be easier. You get pro results and so little effort with that.
Exactly, exactly.
The drying is what fascinates me.
Yep, and the best part too is that since there's enzymes in here, they'll continue to work and continue to provide some odor refresher as well. And if you want to speed up your dry time, you can purchase a Velocity Vac and hook it up to your Tornador Black. And what that's going to do is allow you to vacuum the whole entire car. With that, it actually adds extra suction to it, to your wet dry vac, and you can use that on seats, carpets, you know.
Clean up debris, and you even get faster drying time.
Exactly, yes.
Looks like I have some work to do on the rest of the vehicle once we're done here. Super simple. You can check these guys out at tornador.us. You are going to love this thing, and trust me, it gets results. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, so do not touch that dial. Welcome back to Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. You know, I always say that the tire is the unsung hero of any vehicle. Your tire goes bad, you have a bad day, you're dead in the water. And the valve stem, Neil, is the Achilles heel of the tire itself. It can go bad in so many ways. What can go wrong?
Well, it can get knocked out from a rock, from a stick, from various things on the trail with your ATVs on the farm. The same thing can occur. The sun is probably the biggest enemy to your tire valves from rot. They'll just break off, and then you've got to go change the whole thing.
And how did your family experience trouble with the valve stem firsthand?
Well, Kobe, my grandson, who I named the valve stem after, races ATVs. And he knocked one out one weekend, ruined his weekend. As you know, part of those wheels have a 24-bolt pattern for the bead locks. And it was just impossible for them, in the condition they were in, to change that valve stem in it. Needless to say, he was hacked off. And I just saw this thing. It just appeared in front of my eyes. And I told Kobe, the next time you go out, you'll have a tire valve you can install from the outside of your wheel.
Let's see how it works.
This is the one I built for Kobe.
Okay, that's the original Colby valve right there.
And then we get into the production, and we have this one we deem as an emergency valve. And this particular valve will fit your tractors and things, anything that has a 5/8 diameter hole in it. We have the little stubby, which is very small. It doesn't stick out too much from the small wheels, such as your lawnmowers, your ATVs, things of that nature. We have what we call the permanent valve, which I think is the best for overall purpose. Mm-hmm. We do have an aluminum version, anodized in the black, another permanent valve. These are all considered as permanent valves. This is what we call emergency valve.
All right.
It can be installed without a wrench. Ideally, this is a good product to have in your toolbox at all times. Just like Band-Aids or anything else.
Sure, it's a Band-Aid for your tire.
It may not be your tire, it may be your buddy's.
Right.
We find people using them, and they'll equip the entire vehicle, especially in the ATV, UTV, with them to begin with. They'll just use them exclusively.
Well, how much stronger is this than a stock valve?
We advertise it to be 20 times stronger. It failed in lab tests on pressure to 3,100 pounds.
And we know it's going to last because this is your prototype. How long did that last in your vehicle?
41,000 miles in a front end of an F-150.
Unreal. You have the emergency valves. How many folks are actually using the permanent ones right off the bat when they get new tires?
In our shop, and what we see sell online, the emergency does outsell the permanent, because they can use the emergency for a permanent. It's not necessarily just for an emergency. It can be left in the tire.
All right, well, let's see how the emergency one works. How confident are we that this is going to work? Well, Colby, we have a perfectly good tire here. Go ahead and take the valve stem right off here. There's no turning back now once we get this thing off. All right, that can happen to anybody on the trail. What are you doing there?
I'm having to knock the rest of the valve stem back into the wheel just because where we cut it, it wasn't able to get the whole valve stem out of the wheel.
Okay, so once you knock it in, then you take your Colby valve?
Take your Colby valve. Basically, I've always told people you put it in the wheel just like an old John boat plug. After you insert the valve stem into the wheel, make sure the rubber's flush with the face of the wheel. You just simply start tightening it down.
And that makes the rubber seal expand in there?
And as it expands, it just tightens itself into the wheel. and it starts showing the threads and the valve core and everything you need to put air back into the tire.
Your valve stem is good to go. Just add air. Very cool. Thank you, Colby. And if you want to find the Colby valve for yourself, go to Amazon, go to colbyvalve.com, pick one up, carry it in your toolbox all the time because you never know when you're going to need it. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings coming up, so do not go anywhere.
Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by Dynabrade, the first choice for abrasive power tools today and tomorrow. Flaming River. If it doesn't say Flaming River, it just isn't good enough. Resin Works, made in America, installed locally. And by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever.
When you need a replacement part, check Dorman first. And here's a prime example. This is an oil filter housing. As a matter of fact, millions of Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep V6 employ this actual oil filter housing, and there's several problems. And if you're a tech, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oil leaks. It's a nightmare. Well, first right here on the cap, you can see this. This is actually the filter right here. And yes, it's plastic. So if you put a plastic nut on a plastic cap, everybody knows what's going to happen. As a matter of fact, look at this graphic right there. It's 18 foot-pounds of torque. That's not a lot. Once somebody torques down on this, it's either going to crack this or you're going to go ahead and strip it off. The next guy's never going to get it off. Now, another thing is down here. This is all plastic as well. So these things with the torque specifications, they're prone to cracking, the plastic fittings, oil leaks all over the car. Big, big problem. Well, not the case with the OE solution from Dorman. Check it out. You can see it's aluminum. It's all aluminum. Number one on the top, that's going to make it secure and no problems. On the bottom, just as important, comes with the gasket and it's aluminum, so you're not going to have a problem with the leakage. It's made in the USA and it's a smart solution. You're not going to have any more oil leaks and you're not going to incur a massive amount of money going in there to replace the whole thing. Do it once and do it right. Go with the Dorman OE solutions. Now, I said they leak oil, so here's a cool tech tip for you. If you're tracking down any kind of oil leaks, you can go get a big piece of cardboard, put it under your vehicle overnight, and just at least see the location where it's coming from. Maybe it's a transmission leak, maybe it's a coolant leak, or maybe it's an oil leak. It'll give you a little bit of idea. Now, I'm lucky because I went out to Dave's trailer here and got his foot powder. I don't know why he has foot powder, but this works just as well. You can take this, spray it all over the engine, and when you spray it all over the engine, you just check and see where the oil's leaking from. Another cool thing they have is oil dye. You can actually put this in the oil, and I'll put a little bit right here, and it's actually a dye color. So when you can trace it, you get a little black light like this right here, and boy, that shows up. So you'll see that. You'll be able to see it down the block of the engine. You'll see where it's going. Well, you don't have to worry about chasing any oil leaks when you switch over to the Dorman OE solution with the oil filter housing. I'm John Gardner for Dorman Products. I sure hope you learned a lot throughout these segments, and check them out on their website at dormanproducts.com, the OE Solution Company. We'll see you.
Brian Hansen's the head engineer at Tribotex. He's back with us. And Brian, once again, we've gone to the mailbag to see what folks are asking about Tribotex. We're back to the basic question we get all the time, but it gets asked all the time. Is Tribotex safe in my car?
Yes, it is safe for any car. You can add any oil and it works in any engine.
And you get a lot of people, you say that they want to try it on something that's not going to hurt as much as putting it in your car, right?
Yeah, a lot of people try us out in their lawnmower and they're so blown away by the performance they end up putting it in their car, their wife's car, and that's how we end up upselling our products.
But you don't have to do the research yourself because these guys actually have it on their website.
Yeah, we actually have all of our scientific papers on our website. We've worked with national laboratories and we've been proven in many other engineering labs and are currently being tested in some very large companies right now.
NASA?
NASA actually gave us a spin-off. They published us this last year. So if you type in Tribotex NASA, you will find us on the internet.
These guys are the real deal. How much should we use in any engine at any given time?
Okay, that's a good question. A lot of people have different sized engines and it's hard to find a product that's just right. Our Tribotex Original, which is this middle-sized one, is really good for anything between like like a 2-liter and a 6-liter engine. It's a little thin on the bigger side or a little heavy on the small engines, but it's totally fine for all of that. Any excess will just drain out with your oil and it will build up as much as you need. If you don't have enough, we have a satisfaction guarantee. Hit us up, we might give you another tube for you. And also, if you have a small engine like below 2-liter, we have a Tribotex Mini, which is often great for 4-wheelers, motorcycles, snowmobiles, lawnmowers. These things are great for small cars. So I got a Toyota Prius that I race. My Tribotex Mini works great.
We talk about oil. There's all kinds of oils out there, and for cars that have been around for a while, there is the high mileage oil.
Yeah.
Should I use that for my older vehicle when I'm using Tribotex?
You can use any oil, but we recommend using just a normal oil. Now, high mileage oils have special additives in it, which can compete with Tribotex nanoparticles. The Tribotex nanoparticles are going to be superior to those particles that you're going to find in your oils.
And I saw a few people writing in asking when they should add Tribotex. Is it every fill up, every oil change? How often?
I recommend using it after an oil change. Get a fresh set of oil and blend the Tribotex with a quart of oil to get it to disperse quicker into the engine. When you add it to your engine, you need to run it for about 500 miles at least. Give it a couple thousand better, and then it will stay in your engine for over 40,000 miles.
Well, Tribotex is going to make your engine perform better. It's going to actually repair your older engines, and it's going to make your car last longer. Check them out at Tribotex.com. That is going to do it for this episode. We're sure glad you came along for the ride. We're going to do it again next week, so be sure to catch us at the same time. In the meantime, head over to Facebook and see what we are up to. And if you have a product you want to see featured on the show, email Jeff at masterstv.com. From our entire crew here at Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, we'll see you next time.